Hello and welcome to the Sensual Being podcast with myself, your host, Jolene Whiting. I have been a pole dance teacher for nearly 20 years. I'm also a yoga instructor, and my favourite pastimes are connecting to my own sensuality, connecting with the world, and connecting with animals as well. In this podcast, you'll find new and inventive ways of how you see yourself, connecting yourself with others, and also how you see and view the world around you. In this episode, we are going to be looking at why you might be judging somebody, and also if you are on the receiving end of being judged, and which is why inward validation is so important. Hello, sensual being, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have just got back from the most amazing holiday. I went to the Brecon Beacons in Wales, and I just find something happens to me when I go there. I just find that I connect so much with the land. I love seeing the mountains, the valleys. It's just so beautiful. And do you want to know what my superpower is? Every time I go to Wales, I spawn really good weather. I don't know how I do it. The last time I went was last year in January. Bear in mind, it was January. It was full sun the whole time I was there, and it was pretty much full sun the whole weekend that I've just been as well. I don't know how I do it, but there's something that happens. People are like, it rains in Wales, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard that. It doesn't when I go. I think when I was there at the weekend, it rained for about 10 minutes, and literally that was it. So anyway, I've come back feeling really fired up and very excited about the things that light me up, like the podcast. I don't think you realise, but when I sit down to actually record something or edit something, it's probably the only time I'm actually happy being at my laptop, because most of the time I don't really want to be sitting in front of a screen. But somehow recording these episodes for you and for me, I find them quite cathartic at times, as you know. I just find that they fill me with so much love and appreciation, and I love sharing with you, and I love the times that people have come and shared with me as well from listening to this. So thank you for joining. Today's topic, we're going to be diving into two things, which we have touched on before, but maybe not quite in this way of this correlation between the two. We're going to be talking about judgment and inward validation. And you know that inward validation is a huge one for me. I just really align with it so much, and it's not easy to do because we're not programmed to do it. So I'm going to come at this from the point of judgment first. So when we think about judgment, there is a survival in judgment. You know, for example, you'd look before you cross the street. You would judge whether you can actually cross the road. Is it safe? So there is a lot of things rooted within us, with our primal instincts as well, to judge. Maybe if you're walking down the street and a typical stereotypical one, you're a young woman and there's a gang of blokes walking down the street towards you. Are you going to stay on the same side, or are you going to cross, or are you going to do something about it? Are you going to change direction? You're probably going to change direction or cross the road or something, aren't you? Again, I mean, that's a very extreme judge and stereotypical thing, and that's not to say that anything would have happened in that situation. But can you see where I'm coming from, where you do need to judge? We do need to judge at times, but there is a time and a place for it. And where there's not a place for it is when you are judging and critiquing somebody else, particularly when it's not invited. We could go down the route of talking about competitions, particularly pole dancing competitions, which I've judged before, I've entered before, and I hate all of that. But you are inviting judgment. And even when you go to those competitions and you're just watching, the whole audience is judging. I don't think that person should win. Oh, I think that person should win. Oh, I can't believe that person won. Everybody's got a judgment. And in those sort of situations, you really are inviting more judgment in. And it just doesn't sit with me. It really doesn't. But I want to talk more about the uninvited judgment that we can do towards other people. And I happened to walk in on some of my students talking, and somebody was being judged on what she was wearing. And it honestly took me by surprise. I was like, do we do this here? Like, it honestly took me by surprise. And I don't think the realization and the awareness was there, particularly from the person doing the judging. I'm going to also talk about the other person on the flip side being judged in a minute, but not just yet. At the moment, I'm honing in on the person doing the judging, which we have all been that person. Whether we've said it out loud or not, we've all been that person. And we probably still will be that person who will judge. That's okay. But let's bring some awareness into it. So this person was being judged on what she was wearing. And you've got to ask yourself that when you are doing this, particularly when you're vocalizing it, what are you looking to get out of it? What is your point? Now, I'm not saying, oh, what's your point? I mean, no, seriously, what is your point? Sit with it. Think about it. Because when you do this, are you looking for the other person to feel good about themselves? Probably not. Oh, why would you say it? Okay. Are you looking for the other person to go, oh, excuse me, while I take this item of clothing off to please you? No, you're probably not, because again, you probably still don't want them to necessarily go and do that. You're just still putting your judgment on them. Is there some sort of ego thing, or is there some sort of trigger? Are they triggering something in you that makes you think, I wish I could wear that, therefore I'm going to bring them down or make them feel on the spot? What is it? Before you open your mouth, I know we are going to silently judge each other. Let's let that go. But look into that as well. Why are you judging that person, even if it's internally? But particularly when you want to say these words out loud, you need to know why before you open your mouth. Because the hurt, the uneasiness that can come across is so strong. And I don't think most people who judge other people actually want to do that. Most of the time they don't. 99% of the time, I don't think that that's the case at all. I think it's coming from a place of lack of awareness. And that's what you need to think about. So even if you're somebody who silently judges other people, again, bring that voice in and ask, why am I so bothered about this person and what they're doing or what they're wearing or where they're going? Why does it bother me? Yeah, so there's somebody that I know of that I don't follow anymore on Instagram. So I'll give you a little bit of an insight on my judgmental attitude. And she would post content up, which I don't know what it does. I haven't worked it out, but I'm like, that is just the most pointless content in the world. Why would you post that? Why? And it's just the most pointless, like 10-second reels that you can ever imagine. And you watch them thinking, yeah, but I don't get why you posted that. Why is that a thing? And it's funny because this person's got a load more people following them. This may be the thing for me. A load more people following them compared to me. And they've only had their account for like 6 months. And I'm like, yeah, but how have they done that? Oh, you can see it's unfolding as I'm talking to you. And then when I've actually looked at those followers, most of them are bots. So they're not even real followers. And I'm like, oh, this is a bit weird. But the whole account really set something off in me. And I was like, I'm just going to unfollow. I'm just going to unfollow because it really isn't worth me feeling like this. Because I don't understand the content that they're sharing, but I was judging them. So I wasn't saying anything out loud, but I was judging, thinking their content is pointless. Why are they doing it? So you can see what I mean, that no one is exempt from being judgmental, because at the end of the day, it's part of survival and it would keep you safe. So we've got to remember where it comes from, where it's a healthy judgment to look after ourselves, and where it's just pointless. Maybe it's triggering something, it's lack of awareness. But I want to spin this around to the person being judged. To the person being judged. Their face and their posture had completely changed. And if you are somebody who's being judged by somebody else, you need to find the inward validation. You need to be able to brush them off and be like, well, I don't care what you think. This is where the inward validation comes from, because you are putting your validation of how you are, your appearance, how you show up, you're putting that responsibility into someone else if you let them get to you. So this comes from both sides. So I'd say if you're somebody who judges and likes to talk about people behind their back, always got something to say, you need to look at yourself. But if you are someone who has been judged or regularly gets judged, you need to be able to brush that off, because it's not real. If you are confident in how you were leaving the house that day, then that is what's important. Like some of the times, like it's getting daylight now when I go to classes, and if it's a little bit chilly, I still like to wear like my onesie to go to classes. And it's like, it's one thing to do it when it's dark, and I often see my neighbour across the road. He's coming home from work as I'm going out. Now I have he's got to judge me. I mean, come on, I'm going out in my onesie in 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when it's daylight. But I mean, I finish work at like 10 o'clock. So I want to be comfy and ready to go to bed when I get home. This is what they don't see. And I walk out the house and I'm like, hello, I'm not, and I could feel it in me. I think, I bet they've gone inside and they're saying something about me. But I am confident in the fact that that's what I'm wearing, and that's what I want to wear, because I have my reasons to wear it, and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel warm. It feel comfy. I'm ready for bed when I finish classes. So that's what's important to me. But I know I'm getting judged by someone else. And I bet, to be honest, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been strong enough inside to do that. I would have been like, oh, I can't go out. I can't go outside the front door. It's daylight. If I go out and I see the neighbour, oh God, I'm in my onesie. I would have that same internal feeling of thinking, oh no, I'm going to be judged. I don't want that. But actually, who cares? You can have everybody judge you. So long as you're not hurting anybody else, it really doesn't matter. And it's just so much more empowering to take back this type of feeling towards yourself. Because if we let that go, we are literally we are being disempowered. But the interesting thing is that we are disempowering ourselves. It's not the person judging you who is disempowering you. It's you. It is you that is disempowering yourself, because you are letting them judge you. That is the issue. That is the main issue here. And it's that thing of, so nobody can actually insult you unless you let them. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because those words are just so impactful. Nobody on this plane can insult you unless you let them. Because if somebody, for example, said to me, like, I have red hair, right? If someone had said to me, don't like your hair, I'm like, okay. So I don't know where we go from here. Like, what was the point of that comment? But years ago, if somebody had said, I don't like your hair, I might have gone, oh my God, they don't like my hair. They don't like me. Oh my God, I need to try and be better at who I am. I need to try and impress people. You know, my appearance matters to other people. Oh my God. Can you see, like, and it's a pointless thing. The most important thing is, do I like my hair? What if they do? Who cares? But do I like it? That is what's important, and that is what we are losing. This fear of being worried about what other people think is huge, and you're not alone if you feel it. And even if you try and work with all the inward validation and it doesn't always work, that's okay. But it's being aware that you need to be in control of how you feel and how you show up. And don't give that power to anybody else. And I remember there was somebody in my classes, and she was saying that she used to have so much trouble with what she thought people thought of her. And then she literally just had a revelation, and she's bang on with this, because I have heard this in other places, but she nailed it. She said, one day I just realized that I think about what other people think so much that they must be thinking the same thing. They must be worried about themselves, of how other people are thinking about them. And we are also worried about how everybody thinks about us. That nobody is actually thinking anything about us, because they're thinking about what does everybody think about them. Yeah? So all of this is all so linked in together that we must not let other people be in control of how we feel about how we're showing up. And it's the same as the people who said, like, particularly I heard this a lot during 2020, and they were like, oh, well, you don't need to go to work, so I don't need to put my makeup on. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with that comment, because I'm like, well, were you not wearing it for you? And they're like, no, I was wearing it because I was going to the office. I'm like, what, does the building want you to wear makeup? Like, what are you talking about? Oh no, the people there. And I'm thinking, I don't think any of those people in that office ever said to anybody, you should be wearing makeup, or I'm really grateful that you are wearing makeup. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. What people care about is, are you actually okay? You know, people don't care about this sort of stuff. And it's difficult because we've grown up in such a way where when you're at school, you have to wear a school uniform. It's got to be clean. It's got to be the same as what everybody else is wearing. You've got to have your skirt the right length. It has to be like this. You have to fit in. We have grown up with knowing that if you are different, you are in danger of being told off. You might even be in danger of being bullied. I remember when I was at school, and I did go through a lot of bullying at school. And I did used to try and fit in. I really did. So I remember getting my parents to buy me an Alessi. Was it Alessi? I'm sure that's how you said it. I'm not even sure that's even a brand now, but it was like one of these sport brands. And I wanted an Alessi jumper so I could fit in. And I wanted a shot jacket. That might be saying like what era I was definitely at school. My red shot jacket. To be fair, I did love that jacket, but it was like £100 or something for a jacket. Like, who cares? But anyway, I wanted this stuff to actually just try and fit in. And to be fair, it made no difference. I still got bullied. But that feeling of trying to fit in was so apparent in how I was growing up. And you know what? I feel like I didn't really have the confidence to become myself until I left school. And everybody used to say to me, oh, you'll miss school, you know, your best days of your life. That was so wrong. Oh, they could not have been more wrong. I remember the day, because I always used to try and I used to walk across the field to get out of the school. So I used to try and avoid everybody by being like the first one out of the whole school across that field. I'd walk so fast to get ahead from everybody else. And that last day that I walked through the gate, I will never forget that feeling of when I left school on the last day of school. The feeling I had, it was like a portal. That gate was like a portal, and I went through it. And I was like, right, I can be me. I just remember that feeling, and I will never forget that. And, all of this came from, all of that was, so worried about fitting in and everything. And now, particularly, it's been so long since I left school, but we are all still trying to fit in. We're all still trying to please people. We're all still trying to be liked. You will not be liked by everybody, and neither will I. And that's okay. And if someone doesn't like what you're wearing, don't take it on. And if you are somebody who is voicing your opinion of somebody else's attire or how they look or what they're doing with their life, then you need to ask yourself, are you actually saying that as a friend? Because I remember there was somebody that said to me, not that long ago, actually, I said I wanted to dye my hair back to brown. And I showed her a picture, and it was a picture that I really love. And she said, oh, you look so much older there. You don't want to do that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, yes, actually, I did look older in that picture, but actually that doesn't matter to me. And she went on this whole rant. And I was like, wow, okay, so my appearance matters to you. We resolved the issue. She's like, oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. And I said, well, you need to think about it, how it comes across. And to be honest, the most devastating part of that conversation was the fact that she, my friend, was judging me on how I was looking. And it's like, and even if I do look older, is that a problem? Is that why is that an issue? And so I've been through this, and I will continue to go through it. But what I find hurts the most is when comments on my judgments on my appearance that come from people who I'm very close with, because I like to think, particularly with those people, I am more than my appearance, because that's what they are to me. My friends, my family, my partner, their appearance is a small part of who they are. Who they are and how they make me feel is what's important to me. And I like to think that that is what gets portrayed outwards from me to them. So it's quite a lot to take on there. And whatever you've taken on from this, or if anything has struck a chord with you, just remember that you are human. You're allowed to be human. And it's the awareness that will make you who you are. So just remember that. Be kind to yourself. And you don't need to judge yourself or be judging somebody else. But just the awareness of it is huge. The awareness of it will change your life. That is what you want to take away with you. So thank you for joining me today. And remember, as always, to lead through your life with your heart and to live with intention. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your friends and on social media. If you have the time to rate or review this podcast, I'd be ever so grateful. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at Jolene Sensual Being. The links to my YouTube and to sign up to my mailing list will be in the show notes as well. I look forward to speaking with you again very soon.